guys, as consumers, it's really difficult to find good people to hire and work with, right? And one of the fears I'm sure you have, and I know I do because I've had a lot of bad experience with, is contractors. Contractors are just sometimes real ruthless, and they don't care about you or your property. They'll come out there and just destroy stuff, and you're now a victim of them. Well, this video is about one that I work with, and what's interesting is that a lot of the laws are written in their behalf because they can put liens on your home. Even though they do a crappy job, you're the victim. The reason for that is that there's many here in Utah, there's many legislatures who are builders and former builders, so the laws are written in their favor and not yours and I. Well, about 2 years ago, I met a contractor who came out to our roof because we had a hailstorm come through, and he was telling us about how to file claims to get your roof fixed. And his name is Mike Ashworth. He is with Ashco Roofing. He's the owner. Well, I thought that Mike was a good guy from what I can see, but actually he's a wolf in sheep clothing. That guy is just plain evil. He'll do anything to make a buck. We call him a storm chaser because he goes after all these people who have had issues with their home and seems like a great guy at first, and then he turns on you. And my experience with him is that he'd come out and worked on our home as his crew did, and they just beat the crap out of my home. They tore up the stucco, they damaged the rain gutters, they caused water to get into my basement because of what they did to the rain gutters, and there's mold in there that I had to get remedied. They also came back and supposedly fixed some of the vents on my roof, and they put the wrong shingles even after they had just done the job a couple weeks ago. So they do a crappy job, and you need to watch out for them. That's why I've done this video, because I felt it was so important that you knew exactly who he's about and what they're going to do to you, because I didn't do my homework before I hired him. And after I did, I found that there are 29 other people who've had similar experiences with Mike and what his crew does. So it's not just my story. Check out theirs. I'll provide the link for you to read. But when these things happen, we need to know as consumers to protect ourselves, because the only way to stop people like Mike and other people like him is to not hire him, put him out of business, because we already face enough issues in our life. We don't need to be dealing with a jerk like Mike and people like him. So watch this video to the end. Learn all the things that he did to me and to my home, and he did absolutely nothing. All he wanted was money. In fact, we had to go to court over it, and we're still in the process of going through that whole issue, trying to get my money back based upon what he did. He's a liar, a conniver, and basically a thief. So beware of Ashco Roofing. Now watch this video to the end, and so that you can be educated not to make the same mistake that I did.
Okay, now I'm going to show you all the evidence that I have about how Mike's crew destroyed my home in various areas, so that you can see for yourself exactly what happened. And how would this make you feel if you hired somebody and they came over and did this to your home? I'm sure you wouldn't be happy. So you're going to see what we went through, and I'm going to provide to you a dialogue as to all of the stuff so you can see it for yourself. So first off, here's some of the garbage that was thrown off. This is felt particles and other material off the back of my deck. This is in the front patio. This is to the entrance to my home. Here's on the side of the house. This is where we park our RVs, and there's a bunch of nails in there that could have punctured our tires. And that's our vegetation in the back where they just threw it on top. And here's our back entrance to the garage. And then here's over our AC units. Man, can you believe that? That's my front entrance. That's how they left this stuff. I mean, what kind of people do this? This is my attic. They even threw stuff down in there. And here's the marring for all the felt, the tar, and the shingles that they threw off. Came back and hit against my home in various locations. I mean, there was none of this damage. This is just totally unacceptable. And they didn't even come back and ever even repair it or clean it. I had to go through and do all this. And they just walked away. And you can see this marring everywhere. Here's just some of the nails I found in that gravel. And now we're going to see the damage to the rain gutters. These were in perfect condition prior to Mike's crew coming over. And now you can clearly see that there's many marks. And look at this downspout. It's got several dents in it. This rain gutter up here, and especially this one. Look how much damage there, and they left tar over it, and fingerprints, and you can see multiple spots on this rain gutter, and they broke this downspout, so that's what flooded my basement, and I had to get that fixed. And then here is where it came down through there because there's debris in there. They messed up this rain gutter, so I had to get it rebuilt on there. And look at that downspout, totally crushed. And they got leaves in it because it couldn't come out. Had to fix this one as well. And then you have all this tar and fingerprints. And then here's some of the damage they did to my stucco.
It's all loose because when I ripped out the shingles, they broke it away. It's all damaged all through here.
You can clearly see that there's more damage to the stucco. Look at all those chunks gone. I had to get that repaired. And across the back here, they did more. Got that fixed as well. And here's in front of the home. I mean, there's just multiple locations that these guys were just so careless that they just ripped it out. And then they didn't even, like I said, come back and try to fix it or say anything about this. I had to get up there and look and find out myself. This is on the front of my home. Look at all those chunks gone. I mean, that's a drip edge, totally ripped apart. They didn't fix that. And here's that area where the water came through. I had to get that fixed because it was leaking everywhere, which caused the mold where that downspout they broke. Look at that, all along the baseboard. Here I got it all fixed up, and here's the mold on the back of the carpet. I mean, that's hazardous to your health. There's my tack board, and here's the mold on the drywall. Look at all that. And here's the insulation have pulled out, and those are dimples where mold came through. I mean, this is unreal. Look at all this. And you got more dimples, and we had to cut that all out. Here's where they're getting it repaired. And now you're going to see where they destroyed many of the vegetation. Look how nice that looks. I mean, spent years growing that, and then they come by and destroyed it. That's the day after they left, and at the end of the summer, it all died. That's 20 years worth of growth there. And look at the same in front. Killed all those plants, smashed those hostas there, as well as those daylilies, gone. Look at that, crushed. They never recovered. You can see the stress on the leaves. That's where it used to be all green. That's now dead. You can look at the trampling of the grass there, and now it died shortly thereafter. And then look at this workmanship. I'm talking about crappy work. That's supposed to be newly replaced. That isn't new. That's been there for years. I know, because I did the roof on this home. I used to be a roofer. And look at this. You can pull that shingle right up. You shouldn't be able to do that. There should be fresh, new felt and underlayment there. It's missing. They didn't even bother putting new stuff there. And that's what caused the dripping down the side of my home, because they didn't replace it and do it right. This is just unacceptable work. Now you can see why these other people complain about it as well. That's supposed to be new drip edge because he said he would do it as part of our agreement. And look at these open edges. I mean, that's not how you do it. That looks like crap. It looks like a kid was doing this, never done it before. These are supposed to be professionals. Look at all this. This is on the front of my house. Look on the peaks, those open peaks like that. That's water going to come in. That's not how you do it. Look at this is how it's properly done before. And then they come and destroyed it. I mean, you can't believe all the crappy work that these guys, our crews, really? Look at, they didn't even put any felt there or underlayment. You can see right there is a wafer board, completely exposed. That's why it's going to get water into the house. And here they come back and they had to install new vents, and they didn't even match the shingles up. That's the top of my house there. I mean, this is just, it's not even totally unacceptable. Look at that big gap there in the flashing. They didn't put that up there. They used an old boot. They didn't spend $20 to put a new boot on there. You can clearly see that's been up there in this original one. There's holes where it was before, and they didn't even bother covering those up. Here's a few text messages I sent Mike to let him know what's going on. Mike, your workers will be placing tarps around the house to capture the debris, right? Yes. Very little will hit the ground. Where it does, the tarps will catch it. Well, we know that didn't happen. Next one I sent off to him was this one that says, it'll be taken care of. It's a violent process. Well, violent doesn't have to be. He said he's on it, and I told him I'm looking for quality, not speed. Then I'm expressing my concerns about my front porch and all the debris that's on it, and that people can't come to my home. And he asked me, what do you want to do with the satellite? I'm like, listen, why don't your workers remove the old vents and install new ones? What, there were supposed to have been 10 of them. All vents are new. Well, that didn't happen because I sent him this message. It says no vents were installed. He said they will be. Your guys installed 5 vents and left 2 of the old ones there. And that's where he came back and they cut out those vents and put the wrong shingles in. So now I'm going to show you the invoices, and I had to deal with getting contractors to come on out and to go through all this with them and show them of all the damage. And so they met with me to talk about what was going to take to get the home back to where it was before Mike's crew came by and did what they did to my home. And you can see that here's the invoice that Mike sends to me. Like, I'm going to pay him? What is he, nuts? So I took the invoice, subtracted off my bills for what I had to do to try to get the home back to where it was before, and I paid him the balance, because that's all he deserves, in my opinion. And here's some of the complaints that other people have had are exactly what I had as well. I mean, it's almost word for word. Check out this from Dwayne. He talks about how that they just showed up one morning and that Mike never stopped by, that he had to manage the job and he had to clean up the scraps and several nails in the landscaping, just like when I did. And then he totally ignored him thereafter. So it's the same experience that he had, I also had. And here we have Tony and the craftsmanship. He says the worst he's ever seen in his life. So apparently he's got some experience. We talk about Rick here. His roof was replaced, and soon after it developed leaks. And Mike, guys, didn't even offer any kind of warranty. Neither did he for me. I don't have any warranty on this. And then he talked about how it was not installed. The shingles there, they're not vertical. There's no flashing behind it, prevent water exposure. There's no barrier. The exact same. These guys got a habit of doing this crap, right? This is just subpar workmanship. And we have Lauren talks about they are quick to respond, just like with me, but then it keeps putting him off that, and then he never answers the phone calls, and then days go by and weeks and still nothing, and it never come back to address his issues. I mean, acting like a total child here. And then we have Tyler here who had to pay $1,000 to have another roofer come in and make the repairs after Mike's guys had come in and did the work on it. So, I mean, another roofer was explaining just how bad a workmanship that he did, and that the professional didn't catch this. You know, that he said that he had no idea what he was doing, and that's the exact same experience that I had with Mike on the workmanship, because I know, like I said, I used to roof as well. And then we have this testimony here of individual talks about he's a total scam, doesn't follow code, and in fact he went through and reported him to the Better Business Bureau. He should do that. Got to stop these kind of behavior from these contractors. And then 4 months later, this individual is dealing with a massive moisture seeping through the roof, and even though that he had promised a warranty, never delivered. And that's the same issue that I had, never delivered. So now, I mean, who's going to come back and repair it after you've already paid them? They should. That's their responsibility. And then we're going to learn from Adam here that despite the response of the owner, the issue had not been fixed. And that's completely the same thing that I'm experiencing now, as you can see by the images, that I also had the same thing, and he had to spend $3,000 to get his mold remedy fixed, just like me. And then we have Jared here, talks about how awful experience of getting a new roof with Ashco and still finding areas where they're careless. And so am I. And they took a week to complete the job. And communication was awful, and they broke his grill. I mean, they don't even pay him for that? What's up with that? And the driveway's damaged as a result. You can see that they threw stuff on my front porch as well. And then over here we have a source of where I pulled all these reviews from. And because of that, I was able to provide that. And I'll give you the link to these so you guys can read some more of the reviews. And then Mike, I'm going to show his character, the lack of it. He said, hey, Jeff, here, I'm at EFY in Bear Lake. Come by tomorrow and talk about this. Well, guess what? Never showed up. And so here's the dialogue of my correspondence with Mike. And I sent a letter off to him explaining what's going on. And I'd met with contractors, and here's the stuff that we found. And I told them that I tried to reach out to them and what they did wrong, and gave this to him as well as a statement of the bill of what I'm billing him for the damage to my home, and here's what he's going to get for the balance of that, because now I have to deal with it. And then Ashco, Mike, that is, says, hey, listen, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You can deal with my attorneys. I mean, how immature is that, right? And then he goes out and files a mechanical lien against my home because he can't even deal with me. So he goes to the courts to file a mechanical lien, and they did. And then, so I tried to get with Mike and say, hey, Mike, come on, let's work this out. We're adults. We can go through this process. So let's do that. Well, guess what? He didn't even bother. And I told him that he couldn't even communicate with his workers because they didn't even speak English, which is okay. But if they're damaging my home and he's not responding, then what am I supposed to do? And I can't leave my roof undone because then it's going to get weathered on. And then he takes me to court. And he didn't even give me a proper summation. I had to learn about this court experience through my bank of a garnishment. So then I got to get with an attorney here. And I called these guys and say, hey, what's up? And they tell me, hey, listen, we'll go through this process with Mike and start filing some complaints with him and send him off letters. And so that's what we started to do, the process of trying to take remedy. And so here's a sequence of events, i.e. a timeline, if you want to call it that, of what I went through. And like I said, reached out to Mike multiple times, never responded back to him. Also, that the roof was mostly completed in June, but then it wasn't fully until events were done. Then he sends me the invoice, like, hey, just pay me now. Well, then I met with Mike's partner and explained what was going on, so he was aware that I was going to do the research. And then we contracted several contractors to come out here to do the repairs. And then I sent that letter to Mike and showed him, hey, this is what I'm going to pay you. So, what are we going to do based upon that? And then after minimal to no correspondence with Mike, what does he do? He goes ahead and contacts his attorney, and who files the mechanical lien, right, on the 11th of 2022. And then they had a trial, which I wasn't even present because I was never notified. And I proved that to the judge, and he ruled in my favor. And then they sent the garnishment out before that because it was too late, because I never was witness to that. So then I had to get with attorneys to go out and to take action against Mike. And so that's where we're at right now in the process of a legal battle with this, rather than trying to be professionals and deal with this as a normal human being should.
Well, there you go. You see it. You see what Mike did to my home, right? Do you feel confident in hiring him as your roofer? You be the judge. You've seen the evidence. But all I can say is that I'd never touch him with a 10-foot pole. So I hope you find this informative, use it to your advantage, and share it with other people so that they don't make the same mistake that I did. Hope you have a great day as well. Thanks for your time and watching this.